the two main benefits that we get from having well-working glutes, is how I'm going to describe it, is number one, is it supports good spine health. Now that could be from a everyday perspective, could be from a core strength and stability perspective, and it could be from a lower back pain perspective. So it's the foundation that everything sits on, just having good health of the hips, the muscles activating properly with good range of movement is going to then support everything on top of it. The second thing is it helps improve core strength and stability, because the hips are essentially what the spine sits on, which is essentially what all the core muscles sit around. So if we can have good hip muscles activating at the right time, which is what we're going to come on to, then it's only going to help and improve. So if you are looking to go down the route of core strength and stability, then you can click the link below. You can go through to my How to Build Core Strength and Stability 12-week online program. And what we talk about in this tutorial is a part of the program that you go through on that 12-week program. There are three muscles, or three main muscles, that we're going to look at, and then there's a group of muscles that we'll quickly touch on as well, that all need to be in proper balance. So first of all, we've got the big glute max at the back. So that's the big power generating muscle. Where this one is included in it, and it's included in a particular exercise, the bridge, that we're going to talk about. What we also need are let's just say the two main supporting muscles of this, which is glute minimus and glute medius. So you've got glute max on the back, you've then got two smaller muscles on the side, which are more hip stabilizers. The glute max is a power generating muscle, so it's a very strong muscle, very powerful muscle. These two on the side are more a supporting role. So they keep the knee tracking. They help maintain stability through the pelvis. The glute max will do some of that, but its main role is to generate force and power. So the supporting role comes in the glute medius and the glute minimus. Then what we've got underneath the glute max are the deep external rotators, and one popular muscle that would be included in that is the piriformis muscle. You've got another group that sort of sits underneath it as well. So the three main muscles that we're going to be talking about, first of all, glute minimus, glute medius, and then glute maximus. When we're activating glute medius and glute minimus, we're going to look at, two exercises with some short little resistance bands, and then we'll quickly talk about another exercise if you don't have any bands like that. They can be as effective, but they have to be done in a certain way. So what we'll do first is we will talk about the first two exercises with the resistance band. Now, these need to be done in a particular way, and it's not necessarily about the reps that you're doing, it's more about how you perform the exercise. So the exercise, there are two of them. One is the lateral step, so stepping to the side, and the other one is the monster walk, where we walk forwards. Now, this isn't generally about the amount of reps that you can do and the amount of fatigue that you can feel within these muscles. Certainly with the second exercise, it's about keeping your feet in line, because that's when the muscle is working correctly. So if we start with the monster walk, and if I start facing the camera, what we're trying to do is when we step, I've got my feet sort of just wider than hip width apart, but just within shoulder width. So I've got some tension on the band. Then what I'm doing is I'm stepping forward. When I step forward, I want to maintain my position of my feet. So what I don't want them to do is when I step forward, is I don't want that to happen. Because the most important part of these first two exercises is the initial pickup. So when we lift up, we want to maintain on what would be train tracks. So we step, and then this one has got to come here. Because when we initially pick up, if our foot kicks in, it's switched off, and then we switch it back on again. So it's not stabilizing the pelvis, and it's not really switching on the muscle in so much as what we want it to do. Because we want them to support the pelvis, what we need these exercises to do is support the pelvis to activate when we want them. Because muscle activation is all about the timing, not about the strength and the reps. So it's a case of stepping forward, keeping the feet on those train tracks. So that's the monster walks. The second one is the lateral step. And it's the same sort of thing. So we want tension on the band. And again, when we step, what we're not looking for is sort of a and then go. So we aren't looking for the band to pull us in and then we push back out. What we're looking for is as we lift, we can step all the way through. So again, we need tension on the band, but not too much, because if we have too much, we're not going to go far enough. So again, it's all about that initial pickup of the front foot, and then we're going to talk about this, the back foot next. So again, we just need to shift our weight onto this one so we can pick the leg up, and then we step. With this back leg, it's exactly the same, but what we don't want to do is we don't want to drag it along the floor. What we want to do is we want to lift it up off the floor and step in a controlled way. We've got a concentric contraction and an eccentric contraction, but both of them need to be timed well. And the timing starts from the moment that it comes up off the floor. And there's one thing that you can do with both of these exercises to help that. And that is to peel your foot up off the floor. And what that does, when I lift up quickly, the muscle has to react very quickly. When I pick up slowly, the muscle can react very slowly. So if I pick up slowly, I can feel the tension come on in my hip as I'm about to step. And then it allows me to step. So it's very much being able to keep the foot in that position, not too much tension on the band. The final thing we need to mention are what the knees need to do. So the knees need to stay out towards the outside of the feet, and that's for both exercises. So when I'm stepping to the side, so what we don't want is that to be happening, because again, the muscle isn't in the position that it needs to be in to help maintain that stability. So we've got tension on the band, we've got the knees out, hands on hips, and stepping to the side. The only other thing you want to manage is just the rocking of the shoulder, because again, if there's too much rocking, it's not really going to be doing the hips much good, because a lot of the work is going to be done through the momentum. And it's exactly the same when we step to the side as well. So that is activating glute medius and glute minimus using those two exercises. There are other ones. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of lots of reps, because the first thing to get is the proper technique, lifting the foot up, activating the muscle properly. If you then want to add some reps on top, there's absolutely no problem with that. But first of all, get that posture correct for glute medius, glute minimus. Secondly, we're talking about glute max. Now, glute max, we're going to use a bridge. So very simple, but we do need to get a few things right when we do it. So we're going to start with feet about hip width apart. We're going to lie ourselves down on the floor like so. And again, all we need to be doing is lifting the hips up. But when we lift the hips up, we want to feel the glutes squeeze. Now, there's a couple of things that we don't want to happen. We don't want to overarch at the back, so we need to keep that fixed in. We want to keep the hips up, and we want to feel the buttocks basically squeeze together. The only other thing is we want to manage the tension in the hamstrings, because what can happen, as we talked about with the glute medius, the glute minimus, it's the initial pickup. So we want the glute max to do the initial pickup. We don't want the hamstrings to do it, because when the hamstrings come on, it takes away from what the glute max can be doing. If the glute max comes on first and then the hamstrings, that bit isn't too much of a problem. But in most people, the balance is round the wrong way. So we just want to get that balance right first. So we come down into position, as I've said, hip width apart with here, and then again, we want to be feeling tummy tight so we don't arch the spine, and then up we come with the hips. Again, keep the spine in position and hold there, relaxing the hamstrings. All I'm doing is I'm just prodding my hamstrings to make sure that they're not switched on. And then I can hold and relax. And then you can go into then core strengthening, core stabilizing exercises And obviously these 3 exercises that we've talked about are the most effective way to go about it. If you are a beginner, it's a very good place to start. Even if you're more advanced, it's a great place to get and getting these muscles working correctly. So use these 3 exercises to get your glutes active before you go into any core strengthening or any workout that you're doing, because these muscles are only going to, first of all, add to good spine health, which is going to minimize risk of back pain. It's going to help rehabilitate back pain, and it's going to help build core strength and stability. If you want to build core strength and stability, then please do just click the link below, go through to my How to Build Core Strength and Stability 12-week online program, and you can get started today.